Hello Dotters, how are you all today? My name is Jen, or Jennifer, or Jenny, all of those names will apply. I'm from Shoalhaven Sparklies. We are based on the south coast of New South Wales. We have a little studio here. People can come in and dot with us, and we also sell diamond painting kits and accessories. So today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about pens. If you would like to know more, you can keep watching. So now we're going to talk about what you get when you buy a kit. You will receive a little package like this. So hopefully in there you'll have some wax, that's what that's for, or sometimes it's called glue for your pen. You'll have a little tray and you'll also have a pen. And today we're going to talk a lot about pens, the different kinds, how to use them, how to change the tips on them, all that kind of stuff. The other thing that you may sometimes get is a set of tweezers. And those I can't use as actual tweezers because the tips on them are very, very small. So if you have a look, they're so tiny. But you can use them for other things and we will talk about that too. Alright, so first thing about the pen, when you get it out of the package, you're going to want to load it up with wax. Now if you've never dotted before, believe me, all of us have done this. You will come along and think, I just put my wax, I just do like this. Oh, I've loaded it up. Actually, no, you haven't. It's still empty. And can you see there that there's actually a hole? If we go a little bit closer. So we'll get the photo. There you go. Can you see there's a hole in there? So that is a little escape route for your wax. If you put too much wax in your pen, you're going to find it will come out into this little barrel section. And I've got a couple of examples of that. We'll show you that in a minute. So what's happened? How come there's no wax? Well, what this is, there's actually a plastic coating on your wax. So you want to take that off and you want to take both sides off like so. And see, we've left some little divots in there with the pen. And then all you do is you pop that here into your tray holder and now you're ready to wax up your pen. So again, you just simply do what we did before, but this time we have got wax in there. And you can, if you look really carefully, you can still see that hole through there. So what's the hole for? The hole is there in case you put too much wax into your pen. And you see that one there, obviously we have put an awful lot of wax in there and it's travelled through the tip and into the little reservoir at the back. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this means you're overwaxing your pen and you don't really need to do that. Okay, so about pen tips. There's quite a few different kinds of wax that you can use. And some of them you'll find will be better than others, and it's all entirely personal preference which you like. There is a couple of different kinds that I have here. This one is kind of, it's green, and I find the consistency of that to be really good for picking up your dots, so I quite like that one. And I will tend to alternate with this one, which is kind of like a chewing gum. You see, I've used that one an awful lot. And it's a bit tacky, so you'll find it does pick up your dots quite nice. Those two are wax pots that we do have available. They're in our accessories section, so you can, they're $5 a little tub, and there's a lot of wax in them, so you've got plenty to go in there. Okay, so wax with the plastic cover we've talked about. Wax worm we've talked about. Let's have a look. Different kinds of pens. This is the glitter pen. This one's $5. It's really beautiful, as you see. But you'll notice this part here, the barrel part, is actually square. So some people find this really, really comfortable and others not so much. It's personal preference. Again, pretty much everything with pens is going to be. The reason you want to have a you don't want to keep using this pen long term, this pink pen, is because the barrel is very, very thin on this. So you're going to find as you dot longer and longer, you're actually gripping it quite hard and you will get RSI and tendonitis and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want any of that. You do want to look for a new pen that's got a bit more chunk to it for holding on to. There's a lot of different types, so we'll go through some of those now. Also, the other thing that you can do is you can use a little squishy. Sometimes these will be supplied to you, particularly with the Diamond Dots kits. So that is a bit squishy to hold onto, and it does make it a bit thicker and fatter for you to hold. Okay, so I'm just going to talk for a minute about the actual tips on here. You can see, oh, that one's got white wax. No, sorry, that one's got white wax in. So you can see it's a little bit different to, oh, hello, there we go. Can we get that focus? Yeah, okay. So you can see it's a little bit different to the regular kind of wax. And this particular tip is a little bit discolored. So the longer you have them for, the more they're going to discolor and change, and you will want to change these every so often. This one, no, that's a newbie. What have we got here? These two have been used for AB drills. So you can, AB is a coating that they put onto the drill to make it specially sparkly. So you can see that the wax in there is actually pink, but it's changed colour over time because of the coating on the drills. So what you actually want to do with this is you want to clean this out every so often. So let's see if I can get some good focus here. Alright, here we go. So you just pop your tip of the tweezer in there and you twist it round, and you can see the wax is starting to come out. There you go. And you just pull that off and throw that aside, and then you're back to a clean pen again, and then you'll just fill that up with some more wax and away you go. But there will come a point at which you'll say, no, I've had enough that tip, it's time to change the tip entirely, and I will show you how to do that as well as we go further in the video. Sometimes they get pitted, which is not a good look. I'm just looking for the pitted one. There we go. Alright, have a look up close to this one. Oh, can we see? See how the brass is not flat anymore? It's actually kind of gone, there's lines in it. So that means it's going to be harder for you to pick up your dots. So you really want to replace the tip when you get to that point. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up a moment here, and then we'll talk about some different kinds of pens that you can have. Okay, so one of the pens we're going to talk about today is a polymer clay pen. So these are made from usually Sculpey or different kinds of baking clay. So the maker of that will mold it around a piece of dowel, and then they will bake it in the oven, and then they'll pop the pink pen inside. I don't know if you can see that the pink pen is in there. Can you? Yeah, so there's actually the pink pen that you normally get is inside of there. So this kind of pen is pretty good. You'll get a nice fat barrel to hang on to, so it's really comfortable to use. And these are lacquered really well, so they're very shiny and comfortable to hold. But the one downside of polymer clay pens is if you use them to move your dots around once you've popped them down, if you haven't got them in exactly the right place and you kind of push on the pen to do it, you can actually snap your polymer clay pen. So you can see there, this one's actually broken. I'll hold that up a little bit closer so you get a view. So you can see that it's actually snapped there, and it's in the place where you'd be holding it and pushing. So it's a natural thing that happens. If you're someone who pushes your dots around, a polymer clay pen is probably not your optimal choice of pen. We also do have the mini pens, so these are really good if you're using a magnifying holder, because then you sometimes don't have quite enough length to be using the taller pens. So the mini pen is quite small, gives you a little bit more movement if you're using the magnifying. It's like a big thing like this with a little thing you lift off and you can magnify and look through it. So those are pretty cool. Those are $6 for the magnifying pens. The polymer clay full-size pens are $8, and they do come with a plastic tip or a metal tip. So if it comes with a plastic tip, I'm usually going to chuck one of these in with it, so you'll get both kinds of tips, and then you can swap them if you need to, which we will show you how to do later in the video. Okay, so we'll pop that out of the way for now, and let's now talk about the Loom Band pen. So this one, I don't have many of them at the moment. This is actually the last one. They're not going to be perfect. As you see, there's a little loop there that's not quite right. These are handmade by a young girl up in Queensland who was doing it to pay for her school camp, and hopefully I'll be able to get some more of them. They're squishy, so they feel really nice to hold, and it is done around your regular pink pen. She can make them in a range of different colours. So those ones are $6, and they're pretty cute and fun. If I can get some more, that will be. So this pen here is also an acrylic resin pen. These ones are made in China, so not by a local person. They are a little bit cheaper for that because they're really more molded. It's not someone sitting there doing it manually on a lathe, which is what the Mitch pens are made from. And also when the Mitch makes his pens, he sands them for ages to get them really super smooth. You can tell the difference when you pick up a Mitch pen versus one of these. So if these are $10 and these are $20, you will tell the difference in quality when you feel them with your hands. In particular, this one, it is so smooth. Like, it's hard to describe, but it feels amazing to hold on to. So this one has actually got a space on the end, and a lot of your pens are going to have a space on the end for your multiplacer. So what is a multiplacer, I hear you ask? A multi-placing tool, you can pick up many dots with that. This one I think is a 10 placing tool, so that's a lot of dots. I struggle to use these, but some people swear by them. They adore them. I personally am not a fan because I can't make the dots all line up right. So there is a couple of other versions of multi-placing tools. This one is a 3-placer. So hang on, I've got to get it in the right place. There we go. So that holds 3 dots. Now, how do you use a multi-placing tool? Well, what you do, it's exactly the same as your normal pen. You just pop some wax, oops, with some skill. You just pop some wax in there like that, and it's going to pick up your dots like any normal pen. But you will need to have your dots lined up perfectly for them to go in there. So this is when you make use of your tray, and hopefully we would have it in focus. This is when you will make use of your tray and you will have your dots lined up perfectly, and then you'll pick them up with your multi-tool. So the same goes for this. This is a 7-placer, I think. So now this particular pen does come with all those multi-placing tools. So it can be really handy to grab one of these, and even just to pick up those bits, the extra parts. And it also does come with a straightening end. So this one is dead flat, and you would use that to straighten up your dots as you're dotting. Alright, so that's that pen, which is quite nice. I mean, they come in quite a few different colours. This is the orange one. I've got pink, I've got blue, I've got a purple, and I think there's also a green. They're all out of stock at the moment, but there will be more coming back in. So keep an eye on the website to see if you can grab one. Alright, that's that pen. Okay, this pen is a Diamond Dots brand pen, and it actually has a light in it. So it helps you to see where you're dotting. As you see, it works quite well. The one downside to this pen is that where the tip is, it's actually molded. So there's no place for your wax worm to go. So you definitely don't want to overload this pen. And the other thing is, you will want to keep the tip fairly clean. You'll want to clean it out regularly, because you can see this one here has already got that AB coating on it. So we'll want to pull that out of there real quick. So we'll do that again for you, show you how to do that. Can you see the wax coming out there? Yep, good. Alright, there you go. Wax is now on the tweezers and no longer in the pen. So this one is $12. It does have a really comfortable grip on there. It's really nice to hold, and a lot of my customers really love this pen. Some, I've had 1 or 2 who weren't a fan because they had some trouble with the they are overwaxing. So that's cool. If you're an overwaxer, you've just got to accept that you are, and it's all good. Everyone does things their own way. Okay, so we're also going to talk about some other pens. These ones are a little bit more expensive. These are a $20 pen. This is a wood one. Now, these are obviously very large. If you are dotting for long amounts of time, you actually want your pen to be larger. It will become more comfortable the longer that you're dotting for. The other thing too is if you have any arthritis or any issues with your hands, a bigger pen can really help you with that. So it's worth having a try. If you come in and dot with us here in the studio, you can try one of these pens out for a couple of hours, see if it's comfortable for you, and then you can buy it after that. So you don't have to lay out your money without knowing whether it's going to work for you. Have a look at that funky wood pattern on there. Super cool. This one's made by Kaz's Pens up in the Central Coast, and I will put some links in, but we also do keep them here in the studio. So this one's not so lacquered. It's done with a wood oil, but there are quite a number of pens that are lacquered, really shiny ones, and she's got a range. They're all different sizes, they're all different shapes, so you're not sure what it's going to be. But if you can come here and try them out in the studio, you can find the one that best suits you. If you can't, then you're just going to have to guess and hope that it's going to work for you. So that does make life a little bit harder. Alright, so that's those wood pens. These ones are specially made by a gentleman for his wife who does have arthritis. And because he's a wood turner, so he's been testing this out until he gets it to a place where it's really comfortable for her. So if you do have arthritis, this is a really good pen to try. They are also 20. They are super duper light. So again, you don't necessarily want your pen to be heavy. You may want it to be light, because the lighter it is, the longer you're going to be able to dot for. So that's those ones. And then we also do have the acrylic resin pens. These are my favorite. This one's my personal pen here that I use. So with this one was an accident pen. It wasn't supposed to be this short. So normally when Mitch makes his pens, they are quite a bit longer than this. But when the accident pen arrived, that was the pen that everyone wanted, because as you see, it's the same length. And I'll actually put the ruler here so you can see how long these are. So we've got, that one is just over 12 centimeters, and it's almost exactly the same length, as you see. So that's what you're used to. If you've been using this pen, this is what you know. And when this one came in here, well, this was the pen that everybody wanted. Instead of the ones that were a little bit longer, it was probably about that much more length on them. So Mitch now has a special mold that he uses just for us, so there's less wastage, and he does make them to this size for us deliberately now. So this one is the teal glitter. He's actually making rainbow for us at the moment. So they're really beautifully, they're almost silky to feel. The amount of sanding that he does on them, you can see how shiny that is. So these are just really gorgeous. My favorite pen of all time. You will pry this out of my cold dead hands eventually, maybe, if you're lucky. I may keep holding on to it after I'm dead because I love it so much. But this one, I have replaced the tip in here. So this is a different kind of tip. I don't know how well we will be able to see it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look how shiny. That is a everlasting tip made by Nicole. She has invented this because these other tips can, over time, get quite pitted. There we go. Look at that. I don't know if you can see. Sometimes they will pit and then you'll need to replace it. The other thing that's good about this tip is it is a little bit fatter. The hole where your wax goes just that tiny little bit bigger. So if you've ever had your wax be pulled out as you're dotting, this won't happen with this kind of tip because it is just that little bit bigger. The reason it happens is because you are creating a suction every time you put your dot down. If you are extremely precise and you dot straight, when you try to lift up your pen, you can sometimes pull the wax out as a result of that suction that occurs. So it's good to sometimes tilt it a little bit before you take it off. If you're doing it with dots that make that happen a lot, there is a few dots that are more prone to the suction than others. There's a round pearly dot that is probably the worst for it. So yeah, sometimes you might just want to just check how you're dotting. Most people just do it, they don't think about it. But if you are putting your dots down completely straight and you pull it up and the wax stays, that means you're very precise. So well done, but not so much for your wax because it's going to keep coming out. So that's when you want to invest in one of these babies, and it is only $10 for the tip, and you would want to put it in a pen that you really, really love, like I have. So you want to find the pen that's best for you, and then you pop that tip in, and then you're set for life. You don't need to do anything else. The only thing you'll ever need to do is swap the wax over occasionally, because that does discolor. You can get fibers in there, little things that get in the way of the wax being the most optimal it can be. But you can do that little trick that we always do. You just grab your tweezers and you pull your wax out. There you go. That's come out there. And then you just refill it. Now, how would I do it normally is I would do some of this wax, which is a little bit harder to fill with. So I tend to do it on the side. Just try and get it. That's not going to work for me. Of course, it never will on camera. All right, there you go. So we've got some green in, and then I would pop in some white on top of it, just to be a little bit funky. Oh, no. Okay, let's do that. Alright, there you go. There's your white wax in there. So, that white wax will, as I say, over time discolor. It will change colour. When you look at it and it's kind of blue, or it's gone a slightly different colour, that's when you want to change it over for some new wax. Alright, we have talked about that. How do we change tips? We're going to show you that next. Okay, so here's an example of two tips. One is tarnished and one is not. So when you see that it's tarnished, it will be really obvious to you. It just kind of goes dark. See if you put them there. One's really shiny and bright, which is that one, and this is the tarnished one. So that means we want to actually swap this tip out for a new tip. How do we do that? Well, I recommend you have a pair of pliers. These are good to have in your dotting toolkit for this purpose. So all you do is you twist a little bit and it will start to come out of there. Alright, there you go. So there's the old tip, which is no good. We will say bye-bye. And well, you've got endless pens, more than likely, at your house if you're a dotter. So all you do is grab a tip from one of those. Now, you probably wouldn't do it in a pink pen. You would just switch over to a new pink pen. But you would do it in all your other pens, like this kind of pen, or your wood ones in particular. These ones you might do it quite often. So this is one reason why you don't really want to glue them in, because you're going to change them every so often. So anyway, we have done that now. You can also do the same with the other end. You can have a double tipped pen. If you pull out your multiplacer, and you can pop in another tip in there, which we'll do real quickly. It will look weird. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, hang on. This one doesn't want to come out. Alright. So, if you want, you can do that. It might be a little strange, but... Now, if it won't go quite back in when you're putting it in, just pop it down on a table and push, and you should be able to get it. There we go. That's a bit better. Hang on. Sometimes you need to have a hard surface to do it on, but if you do it on a hard surface, you might actually damage the tip. So that's worth keeping in mind. Good to have a like a chunk of paper like this. This is a really good kind of thing to do it on. Hopefully not dirty. This is my wrong side. So you can do it like that. Push down on it. That will keep the tip from being damaged, but you can push in. That's also when you are putting your stainless steel tips in, you do want to do it on a pad of paper because it protects the tip. Okay, so we have now changed our tips over. What else are we going to talk about? So let's have a look. AB casting. Let's have a look at some ABs. Okay, here we go. So this is a glasses case that my minion Sarah has been doing, and this has got some, oh, it's back to front to me, sorry guys. Alright, so you see these dots here, these have actually got what's called an AB cast on them. So it's a special process that makes them super duper sparkly, and they're really shiny in the light. You see that? So now that coating can come off and end up in your pen, so that's how we get that discolored discolorment happening in there in the wax. So we're going to talk about how you actually dot. How do we do that? Well, that's important because you may not have done this before. And all you do is you pick up a pen that's got some wax in, preferably a good one. Let's go with my good pen, which I've just refilled with wax. So now's a good time to talk about that. Sometimes when you refill it and you pick up your first dot, you may discover that a little bit of the wax will come out. See that? Yeah. So that means that you've put a little bit too much wax in. But that's okay. We will be able to deal with that. So this is the dot number 2. We're just going to pop that on there. And then once we've put that dot on, we will just use our finger to pick some of that extra wax off of there. Oops. There we go. Right, you see it on the tip of my thumb. So we just take that, put that off to the side, and you might have to do that a couple of times, particularly with the white wax because it's just a bit more prone to that. See, we've picked it up another dot. There is a little bit there. So you'll do that a few times, and then once you get to a place where the wax is in the right spot, and this time we've actually left some wax on the dot. So you see there the white, oops, there. So all you do is you grab your tweezers, preferably a good pair. Where have my tweezers gone? This is a good, oh, there we go. Alright, grab your tweezers and you just kind of, there we go, let's pick that up there. Alright, so now this will happen a few times as you just adjust to that new level of wax. So hopefully this time, let's have a look. No, that's good. Yeah, a couple of times and then you're all set. I'll just twist that around a little. Oh, there's some on that side. Okay, so we'll pop that dot on and hopefully then we'll just do that one more time. Just a little, yeah, just a tiny, it's just the tiniest bit of wax that needs to come off of there. Okay, so now dotting, obviously you want your dots to be up the right way. That's a good way to be, because if you put them one upside down it's going to look very strange. And there we go. That's how you do it. That's how you dot. Okay, so sometimes you'll have a dot, especially if you're doing sparkly drill kits, you'll have a dot that's a little bit bigger than what you're used to. And sometimes your pen will pick that up quite easily, which is the case there, and sometimes it won't. So sometimes you'll need to actually overwax your pen to make it better able to pick these dots up. So let's see how you do that. I would normally just pick up a little bit extra, like so. There we go. And you just kind of smoosh it onto the pen there. Oops, there you go. So you can see how it's not flat. Hang on, we've got to find the right angle. There you go. See how it's not flat into the pen. Okay, so in that case it's going to make it easier for you to pick up your dot and then pop it into the spot where it goes, which I'm just trying to find where that, oh, there we are, number 6. Okay, so that will make it just that little bit easier for you to be able to do that. Alright, and we've popped those ones on there, which, sure, that's super pretty. Okay, and then these ones here also you can pick up. Oh, there's those ones, A we were looking at. There we go. So sometimes you'll find your wax might leave a little impression onto your dot, and you can just wipe that off with your finger. Works quite well. Right, there you go. Sometimes when you finish you can shiny them up a little bit with some kind of microfiber cloth if you need to, but generally you don't. Alright, so we've just popped some dots on there, and that's starting to look really super sparkly. Oh, so most of those dots, those ones there that we just put on, those have the AB coating on, and these do not have the AB coating on, so they're just plain crystal drills. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about our tray holders because we do make these here in house and we actually do sell them as well. So the reason that we did it, and let's do a quick demo without making too much of a mess, is because these are tippy. So you can see it's really easy to tip your drills out of your tray. So we've actually put together 3 layers of MDF. Each layer is cut slightly different shape, so you can see it's cantilevered, and then you pop your tray holder in there and then you can't tip it, which will save you a lot of heartache and hassle and picking your dots up off the floor, which is never a good look. So these are $5. You can get them with your own custom text on the bottom for an extra $3, which is pretty cool. So you can have it say your name or something that you like. You've got quite a lot of text you can put in there. And we do make doubles and we make quads, and quads you can have a whole sentence like a quote across the bottom. So that's really cool. Alright, I think that might be all for today's video, so I'm going to leave it now and we'll catch you next time. Jazz hands!